Hey guys, this is the Craft Beer Storm, and I'm your host, Michael. I'm also a founder and owner, brewer at Beara Brewing Company in glorious Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Today we're going west. We're going to Dayton, Ohio, where we'll talk to Jeremy Fultz. He founded Brew Studs and Turning Craft, which is a web video about craft beer. He's kind of doing the same thing we're doing, but he's been doing it for a bit longer. His motto's great. It's a show turning world to craft beer one drinker at a time, and it's a long, I guess, uphill battle. But got a good conversation with him, so let's go. Hey, we're here with Jeremy Fultz of Brew Studs and also Turning Craft. It's a web series, which is very interesting, making some videos, and I wanted to get him on the podcast. I think he's doing some good things to promote craft beer like we are. We're trying to promote craft beer, and his motto is turning the world to craft beer one drinker at a time, which I think is great. So, hey, Jeremy, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure, Mike. Thanks for having me.
No, that's great. Hey, listen, I just wanted to start out, everybody, we talk about your story, how you got started, where are you now, what are you planning to do, what do you want to promote? So I'll leave it off with you. Yeah,
well, it's a long story. I've been, a beer lover for quite some time, and been a home brewer for about 6 or 7 years, and I started this Twitter page that aggregated news about the craft beer industry and the craft beer movement worldwide, and kind of took off in popularity and caused me to want to launch a website. And I started recruiting writers from the social media community that we'd built up, and we started publishing lots of content, and then started publishing content from craft brewers directly. So, announcements and news about what was happening with their breweries. And we've built quite a large readership. I think we get somewhere around 30,000 visitors per month.
Wow. Well, that's heavy duty.
To the website. And
that's great. Yeah, I see your homepage here. We're talking about the 48 Beer Project. I just interviewed Heidi Geist. I think it was about a week or two ago before she goes on her journey. I gotta connect with her. I haven't met her, but she's up in Portland, Maine, near us. But I think she's doing a great thing. And then she's like, "Yeah, I can give you the bus after I finish. Maybe I'll do like 48 cities in Canada, and then hit Alaska." She's not going to Alaska this time, but she's going to hit the lower 48.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. Yeah, she's hitting the 48, and I gave her an invitation to somehow stop near where I live in Ohio when she comes to collaborate with Jackie O's here, which is not too far away from me, but you kind of have to pass through where I'm at to get
great.
there. But what she's doing is really cool. I've seen these stories about people that travel all over the country in relation to some kind of project about beer, but I think what she's doing is pretty unique. I think she's actually going to providing a service to breweries, and her background is pretty cool. She's done quite a few labels already for craft breweries around the country, and several with Bissell Brothers, which is a big name in the industry right now, up and coming. Producing a lot of good stuff. So.
Good beer in Maine. So
I think she's doing.
She's doing it for a year, I think, right? September to 18 to 19. That's what I see on the bus.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
So Greg out of Massachusetts wrote that story for us, connected with Heidi, and I'm always happy to publish anything Greg writes. And we've got a few really, really solid writers contributing to the blog right now. And
great content, yeah.
We're always looking for new writers too. I'm always putting the social media advertisements out there to recruit new writers and take a look at what they do. And
that's great.
We've actually gotten to the point where we can pay for content now. And in the beginning, it was all kind of everybody just collaborating and doing stuff pro bono because the site wasn't making any money, but that's changed a little bit.
Well, that's great. No, you got a lot of people visiting. Yeah, that's awesome. And then when did you start your Twitter? What year was that?
Oh, that was 2011 or 12. I always forget now. I think it was.
So you've been doing this for about 6 years.
Summer 2011, I think.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's it. You got a big.
And we launched the blog in May of 2015.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to connect with you because you're doing a lot of good stuff. You're promoting a lot of good content there, and you got people writing, which is great. They're looking local, and that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to get people to look locally and find their local craft beer, and try to convert them actually to craft beer because it's just awesome, and it's everywhere. They're popping up everywhere, craft breweries.
Oh yeah, so I live in a town of we're the sixth largest city in Ohio. We've got I think 15 breweries now.
Cool.
And it's just a really densely brewery populated area.
What town were you in again?
And Dayton, Ohio.
Oh, Dayton. Okay.
We're kind of southwestern, just about 45 minutes north of Cincinnati.
Cool. So, you're near Kentucky's near there?
Yeah, Kentucky's not too far. I'm probably about an hour from the border.
Yeah.
A little bit less than an hour from the border.
So yeah, what do you see? I mean, you're plugged into the craft beer industry. What kind of trends do you see? Like, what are people buying? I know. Everybody says IPAs, and are popular, and I think they're going to remain popular. What else do you see?
Yeah,
happening?
IPA seems like it's always been the best seller in the market, and it's I don't think that's slipping at all.
No.
I think we're seeing, variations on the style. The Brewers Association this year just first recognized the, subgenre of hazy pale ales as their own category now.
Like the New England style.
Yeah, the New England style IPA, which is, turned into, several different kinds of hazy pales. And I think, that's definitely the hot trend right now where you're seeing, every brewery feeling like they have to have a hazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, especially
which I don't think it's a bad thing. I like, you've got people out there that will decry it and talk about, fads and things like that. But, what's wrong with having a fad in the market? I mean, it's something fun for the drinkers.
It's just a new.
A lot of brewers making great beers out of that style, and
I think they're delicious.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I like IPAs. Yeah, we try to do darker ones too. Like we have the stout, and we try to turn people onto the stout. We have a porter actually, which we infuse with coffee and Oreos, which people are liking. But it's now I'm getting them to drink dark beer, which is good. They try.
That's great. I'm a big fan of the porter. I think it's probably the most underappreciated style.
Yeah.
In modern beer, and I don't think enough breweries do enough porter. But I'm sure that's dictated by the market.
Yeah.
One of our writers out of New York, Paul Dines, he wrote a piece about kind of other styles being neglected and underappreciated this year, actually, on the blog. It's really interesting. One of the most popular pieces we published this year.
Wow. No, I'm trying to get people to drink darker beer or the stout, and we infuse different local ingredients in, and we have a brown ale, so we infuse local honey and people like that, and we're doing different things with like a s'mores beer, but people like it, but they get scared, and especially restaurants and bars are like, oh, the beer's dark, oh man, we're not going to sell it. I'm like, it's good, try it. So there's a big stigma, I guess, for darker beers. They think it's like drinking a loaf of bread when you can have really good sessionable, like we have a pretty good sessionable stout, and you can have more than one. You don't just have one and you're done. So I think it's a good thing. Yeah. So,
Yeah. The other trend I think I'm seeing a lot of is, flavor being added to beers.
okay. Like what types of
That's
flavor?
Probably, well, you'll see a beer that, might be popular, might be, a core label for the brewery, but then you'll see variants of it with flavor added.
Right.
So you'll see a cherry version of it come out, and then you'll see a blueberry version of it come out,
Right.
or orange or citrusy or something like that.
Right.
Even in, the IPA category, I won't name the brewery, but there's a particular brewery that puts out a really popular dry hopped IPA that they probably put a new variant out on it twice a month. And
Wow.
I see it popping up on shelves with all kinds of funky flavor added.
So
which I'm totally in favor of flavor being added too. I think that's probably an even more controversial topic, but
yeah, for
that's
the
definitely
German
another
purity
trend,
law.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, German purity law. Like, oh man, it's not. You're not supposed to add any of that stuff.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then people complain. But whatever.
You can take it back all the way to Reinheitsgebot, but
Oh yeah.
I think I don't think beer fans in this country are quite as beholden to those kinds of rules.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, I know a lot of traditional brewers are like, yeah, we don't want,
Oh yeah, you get some purists out that are, brewing that definitely would say, that's not craft brewing. I think they're probably much fewer than the others who really don't care too much.
But I think, you need to experiment. We experiment a lot. We'll take 15 gallons and we'll throw something in it, whatever. Like we did the s'mores beer and people liked it. So we did the s'mores. We did the Oreo cookie beer. We took 30 gallons and of the porter, which it was a Java porter. So then we added the 20 pounds of Oreo double stuff and people drank it like we put it on tap Friday night and by Sunday morning it was gone. Like we sold 30 gallons of beer. I'm like, this is good. So we ended up canning it. We put it in 16-ounce cans. What's the package that you see out there? Right now, I think it's all 16-ounce cans with the snap pack lids. And you seeing anything else, or is that the trend?
Well, we're seeing. It's kind of funny. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of breweries who are doing the 16-ounce cans, and they're moving away from that, going to 12-ounce. Because, they think the market is dictating that, but then I'm seeing, some breweries kind of move away from that for different kinds of beers. I think it's kind of all over the place right now.
You think so?
I don't think anybody's really.
Yeah, in New England, it's
crazy.
Well,
I mean, you're definitely seeing the larger craft breweries move to the larger format.
Yeah.
So you've got, your Oscar Blues and your, Sierra Nevadas and New Belgium. Even I've seen Lord Hobo, which is a brewery that that sold a piece to Capitol last year, who's got 12 packs in the cardboard boxes, right? So I think larger format is what these larger producers are going to. But you'll still see, 6 packs or 4 packs of their, one-off type stuff. I still don't think that the craft beer industry has matured. And I think it is because of innovation. I mean, that's kind of what it's always been, right?
Right.
Brewers tinkering with styles and doing things like, making any IPAs juicier and, dry hopping with different hops and, turning people on to that kind of thing. So it's changed the taste in the market again. And now you see, brewers chasing that style, and people have called it a fad. Maybe it hasn't been around long enough to, outlive that moniker, but
Right.
you know, those beers are selling well enough that it's caused, you know, a ripple in the industry to where, you know, brewers realize that they better have one because people come in
Right.
and they don't see it on the tap list, or they ask for one. If you don't have one, then, you know, people might be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, we really weren't into the double IPAs in the beginning, but then I went around, you know, and I went to these restaurants and bars. They're like, if you give us a double IPA, we'll give you a tap line. I'm like, all right. Well, then I made 2 double IPAs. I made one with the West Coast hop blend and then one with some Galaxy, and those have been selling like crazy, but they're very expensive beer to make. You know, you got to double up on the grain and. But I think in the industry overall, you really got to innovate and try to create new, new styles and try new things. And then if it works, other brewers take a look at it, like you said. But you do need these IPAs. I mean, because you have to I mean, you're a business, right? Like you can make funky stuff, but if nobody's going to drink it, then, you know, you need revenue. So a way these brewers do it is they make these IPAs and they make these double IPAs, and that's kind of the go-to beer for a lot of people. So it drives the revenue.
Yeah, you know,
business.
I think that might be changing a little bit. I think the whole double IPA craze has calmed down a little bit, and you know, some beer geeks, so to speak, that when they got into the industry, you know, all the whales were the doubles or the, you know, imperial stouts that were, you know, aged bourbon barrels or whatever, a variant on a bourbon barrel aged stout. I think that hype's kind of died down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hype in general has died down a bit from the you know, so-called whales of the industry, the whales that are out there in the beer market.
So when you say whales, what do you mean? Like just to educate people on that?
Yeah, you know, hard. So you're hard to get beers.
Okay.
I think with the black market, with the trading on the internet, and with distribution expansion, and, you know, brewery growth from a lot of these breweries that have produced these beers have, you know, made them more abundant and therefore less sought after.
Yeah.
The novelty kind of wears off on, you know, the scarcity, right? Or the scarcity goes away, and the novelty wears off.
Yeah, you talk about the black market. I just remembered something that happened in Vermont. They have Hetty Topper, you know, Alchemist. I think you probably heard. Yeah. So some lady in Vermont just bought a whole bunch of it and started selling it on the internet. And the police found out, like, where she was. They went to her home and they arrested her.
Yeah.
So it's like no joke, you know. But I know a lot of people trade, you know, on the internet, but that's the risk. And a lot of these states, you know, are very particular on, you know, how beer is sold and, you know, the 3-tier system. And actually, I interviewed somebody starting bev.com. I'm not sure if you heard of it, but it's a new platform where he wants to do like a brewer to consumer, like a direct sale.
Gotcha.
But it's a state by state thing, and right now there's only 9 states out of the 50 that allow that, you know, that beer to come in.
Yeah.
And you have to pay.
What's the name of the website you said?
Bev is BEVV.com.
Okay,
he's just getting started. I mean, he got started. I connected with him a couple of years ago, and he was just getting started. But it's just a long road, and he's still got a long road ahead of him. But I mean, wine you can sell wherever. You know, it's just like ship wine wherever. But you know, even if I tried to ship beer through the postal service, that's a felony. You know,
right? Yeah, exactly.
And I can't even do it according to the New Hampshire laws. Like I couldn't ship outside the state, like with anything. Like it could be intrastate, you know. I could do it within New Hampshire. Actually, people can put an order in online or call me, and I can deliver it. You know, but it has to be via UPS or something like that.
Yeah, the rules differ for whether it's for purchase or not, I believe, because your breweries are allowed to ship beer samples, if they're not paid for. I think it probably definitely differs from state to state.
Yeah.
But
is that in Ohio? They can do that, or?
Well, in a lot of states they can do that.
Yeah, I mean and then you get into the gray area. Like, what's a sample? Like you can say, well, I have 16-ounce cans, but I'll send them like 375s. Right? So
yeah, I honestly don't know the rules around it. I know they're allowed to ship beer for sampling purposes at least, and then there are a handful of states where beer should be shipped for purchase as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think in general the black market is kind of taken away some of that allure of the whale beer.
I see
the
that
trading
too.
market.
Yeah, I see that too, because a lot of people, I mean, they can go locally and kind of get a similar beer instead of paying like $100 or I don't know, a case or something like that or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean that's why the whole thing was created in the first place. And I think the other thing that's taken away the allure of the whale beer is that so many beer geeks have finally gotten their hands on it, finally found Moby and then tasted Moby and realized, it may have not lived up to the hype or,
Yeah. I mean,
it's a great beer, but it's not that much greater than, what I can walk down the street and get.
It is. It's hype.
And that's not a mark on the breweries who are making these, rare and sought after beers. It's just, I think it's a testament to how far the industry has come.
Right.
And how good your local brewer has gotten.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good beer being produced out there. You going to GABF this year? Or?
No, I'm not. I would really like to, but we're actually probably going to be filming another episode of Turning Crafts when that's going on.
Ah.
So I won't be able to go. We will have a couple writers there, though, covering. So
yeah, I'm not going to go. I
went
last year.
Be covering the event.
Yeah, I went. I had a table there actually. So every other year I go. So I went last year. I went the year 2 years. 2 years
great.
before that. So it's cool. You just get to meet a whole bunch of people. I like to go to the. The award ceremony, I think, is like electric. It's great. You're just waiting for your beer to be called. And actually, one of the breweries near me in New Hampshire, they won a gold medal for a brown ale. And I saw their name on the screen. I'm like, I know those guys. They're right up the street from me. So it's pretty cool, Is
that where you're in New Hampshire?
Portsmouth, New Hampshire, yeah. That's where the brewery is. It's Beara Brewing Company. We're based in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We're almost 4 years old. It's been a long journey, not for the lighthearted, roller coaster, but you know what? It's great when you can make a beer and people come in and they have a flight and you say, you know what? There's not one beer here that I don't like, and that makes you feel great, and you just keeps you fueled. Yeah,
it's really cool.
So I think it's a great thing, and you're making something. I'm a CPA too. I got started. I'm still auditing, trying to make some money, but the beer is my passion. So this is just another extension of that, and trying to convert people and communicate that there is a lot of good local beer. Also restaurants too. Like I'm trying to promote, go into your restaurant and look at the tap lines. If they got 10 tap lines and there's like one so-called craft beer that's really like a big regional beer, there's really nothing local, and just get the manager and tell them, look, there's a lot of local breweries here that you should support. And
that's how I feel a lot when I go out too. I try not to be that guy, but yeah, I mean, you go to around here, if a new restaurant opens up and I go and they've got a bad tap list, I just, that's 1 star lost right off the bat, Oh
yeah. Yeah. And I think it's trending that way. I went into I was in New York and I was in Queens, and they had an Applebee's there, and I'm like, I don't know what kind of beer. It's like, man. And then they were in Bayside, Queens, and actually they had a tap line for Bayside Brewery. I was shocked, but the beer was really good, you know. And it's like Applebee's, it's a big chain. I wouldn't have thought it, but
yeah, you know, I started noticing that about Applebee's a while back. Like I've never been a huge fan of their food, but there was one particular dish that my girlfriend liked to get, so I would actually, while I was waiting on her takeout order, you know, I would order a beer there, and I just noticed gradually over a short period of time how they started adding more and more like legit craft beer and local brands on tap. But you know what? They realize they have to compete. Chains like Beer Dubs are doing the same thing. I think the problem is when you get into those big chains is, you know, are they hiring quality staff? Are their managers, cleaning lines properly?
Oh yeah, that's a big deal.
Because I've had bad experiences in chain restaurants.
Oh man, like beer. Every beer tastes the same. Like it's this chalky taste. And like I ordered a porter, and it was like this chalky taste, and then I ordered like this pale ale, and it was the same chalky taste. I don't think they're cleaning their that destroys a beer. You know, the customer's experience, you know, and I've seen it at a couple of different restaurants, and I complained. I'm like, this stuff stays the same. It's supposed to be a totally different beer. And they're like, oh, I don't know, I'll get you another one. I'm like, no, forget it. It's probably the same. I'll have some water, please.
I swear to you, I was at a chain place, and I ordered a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Right.
And I saw him pour it, and when I tasted it, I could have swore it was a Sam Adams lager.
They just
and I knew it wasn't because I had just sat there and watched her pour it from the Sierra Nevada tap.
I don't know, but yeah, it could be a mix-up. I don't know. Who knows? But they really gotta clean their tap lines. I mean, that's key. Key. At least once every 2 weeks. That's a minimum. At least minimum. But so what challenges do you see that brewers have today? You talked to a bunch of breweries. Like, what challenges do they have?
Well, it depends on the size of brewer, I think. But I think, one that they probably all share is, how to stand out now that there's so many breweries in every city and so many nationally and so much competition over shelves, and the big beer companies crowding out the shelves at the grocery stores now. That's one thing that I've been seeing happen at the large retail level that I find disconcerting is that 3 years ago there seemed to be plenty of room for dozens of local brands or regional brands.
Right.
That are now that shelf space is going to Wicked Weed or Elysian or Ballast Point or Devil's Backbone or you name it. The Kroger is headquartered in Ohio and Cincinnati, and there are just a plethora of Kroger stores in Ohio, and not too long ago, I mean, they were one of those grocery chains that you were like surprised to see how well they were embracing the craft beer movement. Mm. And, you would go to a Kroger and the craft beer section was not much smaller than, the light macro section. And I would say that changed a bit in most of the stores starting about a year and a half ago. And I noticed something happen here where a couple sets on multiple shelves here in the area where I live were reserved for one of their new, so-called craft brands that are coming to town, and they sat empty for like 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, at least 2 months, because I kept going back and checking out these places and like
that's crazy.
Doing photo evidence.
Empty. That's crazy. Well, that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast too. Exactly what you're saying. Like I go in and I see 90% of the beer section is suitcases and like 24 packs for $10. It's like ridiculous. And they used to have craft beer. You're correct. There was a lot more craft beer in these stores. Like they had 22-ounce bottles of local beer, and then sometimes they'd have these 16-ounce cans. But it's got to be these big beer companies just exerting a lot of influence. They're also buying up craft breweries, and I say they're really not craft beer; it's crafty beer. I don't know if you heard that term, but they give the illusion.
I'm very familiar with that term. Yeah. So
they give the illusion.
We encourage our readers to seek the seal with the new Brewers Association craft beer seal. So.
Right.
We published a page on the blog called The Cutoff, which lists every single brewery that is, has a big stake in it, owned by Anheuser-Busch.
That is good. Yeah.
And, we haven't been, so a lot of people, we get comments all the time, well, why don't you list, the ones that Miller owns or the ones that, are owned by, venture capitalists or that kind of thing. And, to me, as the editor of the site, it's like, we will, once they get as aggressive and as hurtful to the craft beer movement as AB InBev has been.
Yeah.
Show us when, Constellation Brands is, violating ABC law and 3-tier law in multiple states. Show us when they're, putting commercials out to make fun of craft beer drinkers, right?
Oh yeah. That was that was the Budweiser Super Bowl commercial. Right?
Yeah, right.
They were like, well, you don't want to drink a beer with like this cherry caramel taste, and there's only like one brewery that has a cherry caramel, and that was one that was just bought by the big beer. So it was it was weird. It was just like
some like pumpkin peach, right?
Yeah, and something
then,
like pumpkin. Yeah.
Then they bought Elysian, and Elysian had a really popular pumpkin peach beer, right? Yeah.
They're losing market share and they're just reacting, and it's just all this money's being thrown around, and it's not very fair environment for local craft brewers, and they're scared.
Yeah, and then they throw their doublespeak in there and talk about Carlos Brito, the CEO of AB InBev, put out some press release that got published verbatim by AP and Reuters, and then every other publication after that said, well, consumers don't really want that much choice.
Oh my God,
you gotta love that.
It's unbelievable. But that's you and I are here to try to educate people on that there is an alternative to this watered down. And it's not really beer. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's just this very lagery. I love lagers. I mean, good lagers. And there is a time and place, I guess, for big beer, like if you're at a ball game or something like that. But even then, like I went to Citi Field, and they were selling cans for like $14.50 for a 24-ounce can of beer. I'm like, and there was no alternative. It was crazy. I'm like,
I think, we talk about challenges, and, aside from these challenges that, individual brewers will face in the market, like, how their beer stands out from their, local competition, or how their beer stands out from the ones they're trying to compete with to get on shelves in grocery stores, and ones that, even in smaller venues where I'm pretty sure a lot of transactions take place are, your local craft beer bottle shops or your wine stores that have done a really good job of embracing the craft beer movement. I think, there's probably an even bigger challenge, and it's like, how does the overall branding of the industry, of the market, of the movement itself, right? The culture.
Yeah.
Like how does the culture evolve to attract more drinkers? And, how do the brewers embrace the culture going forward, and what do they do to contribute to the evolution of the culture, to make it more mainstream, to make sure that the market expands for their product?
Right. Yeah. It's more of like, it's been kind of a beer geeky thing, and people rate beers and they slam beers and, oh, this is an awesome beer. But there's just a load of people, and you can see by the market share, it's, still 90% big beer and then 10% craft beer, so that we got a long way to go to educate people. But yeah, I mean, brewers have to do more events, maybe at hotels or something, or, just get normal people involved, and just say, hey, try this, get in front of people at different, but it's just hard. Even like if you want to go to events, some events like in New Hampshire, I can't even go and like serve beer, like samples. They need a license. I can't even go. I crossed the state line. Like somebody in Massachusetts wanted me, and it was a fundraiser. I wanted to do it, but they're like, "I'm sorry, you're a New Hampshire brewer. We can't do that in Massachusetts. Where you can serve your, like give samples of beer." I'm like, I was going to donate the beer too, and God forbid you donate beer. That's against the law as well. But it's like, well, what do you want me to?
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you, and I'm trying to, promote a cause. So. We do stuff in the tap room where we kind of do special beers for people, and we'll give them a portion of the proceeds, and that's the way we get around it. But there are all these convoluted, prohibition laws, which are ridiculous. They're still on the books, and they need to be overturned and eliminated. But it's like this huge lobbies, these huge lobbies which are funded by this, just have a lot of money funded by the big beer, and it's going to be tough.
I think there's good things about some of the laws in the states. So, for instance, here in Ohio, if you're a small brewer, you have a lot of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
You can self-distribute. You can serve directly from the tap room.
Yeah. Or
from the brewing facility. But if you're large, you can't do any of that. And the cap's set really high, so it allows small brewers to grow.
Yeah.
And, I think it's, the law is intended to be a protector of the industry. A lot of the reformed 3-tier around the country has done things like reduce the licensing cost to a lot of the brewers, so it makes it a lot easier to do a brewery startup.
Yeah.
And while at the same time, keeping certain pieces of the 3-tier in place to make sure that, Anheuser-Busch can't buy your neighbor and start mass producing it and latching on to the parts of the craft beer model that make it popular, right? So they couldn't start mass producing, the crafty brands that they've bought and still allow them to operate from a craft beer standpoint, still sell from the tap room, still self-distribute and those kind of things.
Yeah, and it varies state to state. It seems Ohio is good, and we're self-distributing in New Hampshire, which is a great thing. There's good things and bad things, but it just varies from state to state. So it's very interesting. But I like to try to wrap it up and in your opinion, why should people drink local craft brew? What can we tell people who still drink the big beers, and how can we get them to try some? What would you say, or what would you advise them, or try to sell them on trying your local craft beer?
I mean, number one, it just tastes better. It's just better beer.
Yeah.
Sure, you've got young breweries out there who aren't. Not every young brewery that opens up is going to be terribly consistent for the first year. But I think in general, your local brewer is paying attention to, what the people in your town want to drink. And you're just going to have a better experience drinking their beer over something that you're going to get out of the cooler at your local grocer. There's more variety. There's less adjunct and typically a higher ABV. So, it tastes more like what beer was intended to taste like in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
So that's number one to me. I think just in general, it's going to taste better. And number two, it's made in your community. So when you buy local, you're supporting, your friends or family members or people that know them, putting money back in your own pocket. Essentially, you buy from AB InBev, you're supporting a multinational corporation that's large enough to be its own country.
That's right.
And who are using the dollars that you spend with them to find a way to put down craft brewers all over the country.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. Yep.
I think drinking craft beer is more democratic. And if you believe in democracy, you should drink craft beer.
Yeah. Makes sense. You have a choice, and supporting local is what we push too, and not just, local beer, but local ingredients, farm to table, infusing local products like honey. We use honey, maple syrup, but there's just a lot of, local things. It's a great thing for the community, and supporting local, supporting a business, which is fantastic. And this would be great. But, all right, I want to try to wrap it up. But now, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so, folks can reach out to us on Twitter all the time. That's probably our most active social media channel. It's at Brew Studs. We're Real Brew Studs on Instagram and Brew Studs on Facebook. And then the website is wearebrewstuds.com. Mm-hmm. If you want to watch Turning Craft, episodes always published to Facebook first. Yep. And that's Turning Craft on Facebook and Turning Craft on Twitter. And we've got an Instagram page too. It's just a little bit smaller. You can't watch episodes there. And we're also on YouTube, so you can watch Turning Craft. Yeah.
It seems interesting. Your website's interesting. Turning Craft is interesting. Looks professionally made, and I appreciate what you're doing. And a last little plug for Turning Craft is latest episode. Co-stars an NFL player, an active starting NFL player for the Denver Broncos. How'd you connect with him?
His agent reached out to us and said, "Hey, Jared's a fan of the show, and he'd love to be involved in some way. He's been an ambassador for craft beer to the NFL for most of his career, and he thinks it'd be a natural extension for him to be involved with the project."
Awesome.
I was like, "Yeah, let's find out a way to make it happen." So we found out he was going to be in his hometown of Grand Rapids this summer, and I reached out to some folks I know at Founders, and we made an episode happen, and it turned out great. It was our favorite one so far.
Cool. That's
awesome.
awesome.
We just published that last Saturday, and actually for another week, if you share it on Facebook, you get a chance to win Turning Craft gear.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. I got to check out the episode, but that's great how people can connect, and we connect. I think I found you on LinkedIn, and that's how we connected. But the power of the internet and the power of social media is great. It's just the world is changing. The world is changing.
Yeah, Internet gives power to the people. At least for now, it does.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being on, man, and taking the time to talk to us. And I hope to meet you one day. I'm not sure where it's going to be, but you never know. But we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, Mike. Thanks a lot for reaching out. It's been a pleasure, man.
All right. Thanks a lot. Okay.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Cheers.
Hey, that was Jeremy Fultz of Brew Studs and Turning Craft. It's a video on the web. He has a lot of knowledge. He's been talking to a lot of brewers and the industry, really solid. And if you want to connect with him, he's on Brew Studs. You can find that online. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what we're doing, please go on iTunes, give us a rating, leave us a review. Tell a friend. That helps us get the word out and promote Craft Beer Storm. And we really want to help people who don't really know a lot about craft beer and try to educate them. So anything you can do on your end would be very appreciated and greatly appreciated. So until next time, we'll talk to you. Take care.